I'm Nathan Alberg with the Land Connection. We're making this short video conversation with Will Glazik just to talk about the topic of land access and how we farm and how thinking alternatively about how we farm might open up other opportunities that we might not otherwise have. Will, thank you so much for making time for us. Can you just say about a little bit about where you're from, your farming background, and as well as kind of your agronomy background as well?
Yeah, of course. I grew up in Paxton, Illinois on a 400-acre certified organic farm. Mom and dad, so I'm the fifth generation farmer. My mom's side has farmed in this area for a long time. Um, Mom and dad transitioned to organic in 2002 when I was 12 years old. So I remember a little bit of farming conventional, but for the most part,
Mm,
we farmed organic. I learned how to run a cultivator when I was very young, put up a lot of hay, things like that. I've
mhm.
always had a strong interest in agriculture, always wanted to farm. I graduated from the University of Illinois with a degree in agronomy, and then I ran off to find a job, started working for then Crop Production Service, now known as Nutrient Ag, which is a large commercial chemical, seed, and fertilizer supplier. So I had to go through a crash course to learn how to work with chemicals and work with conventional farmers that utilize chemicals. That was all new to me at the time.
Yep.
Did a lot of soil testing, did a lot of nutrient management plans, did a lot of herbicide management plans, things like that. Then I just really continue to have a passion for organic ag, and I was able to utilize my knowledge of organic ag coupled with my knowledge of conventional ag and kind of create a bridge across both sides and help people if they wanted to transition to organic or help organic farmers utilize some more innovative opportunities like minimum tillage, strip tillage, or help conventional farmers that wanted to stay conventional, but maybe utilize cover crops or longer rotations or add livestock into their cropping system. So I've got a really wide range of row crop agriculture in Illinois.
Excellent. And so now you're farming your own acres now.
Correct. Yeah, my brother and I, Dallas, we farm 800 acres. It's all certified organic. We are uh, renting family land and some other land. We don't own anything ourselves, but we do run a row crop operation.
Got it. So let's just dive right into the question, which is one of the things we've been having with Illinois FarmLink to kind of to our surprise is that we've been getting calls from small conventional row croppers from around the state. And what they always say, and it boils down to this, I've got like maybe 400 acres of land. It's not really quite enough to make ends meet, but it's really hard to get a lease or to buy some more land because the big guys can always pay more, whether it's a lease payment or for the purchase price of some land. So how can I get land? And we try to give them some ideas about how to be more creative in how they do outreach and how they reach people. But it is hard to keep your friends and neighbors as friends and neighbors when you're complaining on the same playing field as the big guys. And so I had asked you, just sort of in a conversation, what kind of alternative ideas might you have just for people to think about? And I'm wondering if you could just kind of share those ideas again.
Yeah, sure. Happy to talk about that. Uh, going so I do farm certified organic. I'm also 34 years old. Started this journey in 2016 with a woman farming her land. She wanted a certified organic farmer. We generally get requests every year, sometimes multiple a
Mm.
year to pick up someone's property or land and
Yep.
transition it to organic. Generally, that's difficult for us to do. We're pretty busy with everything we have going on. But I would say if you are under 55 or a very energetic 60, transitioning to organic would definitely be a viable way to raise a profitable farm, even on those smaller acreage, but would also increase some interest and potentially could help grow the land base for the operation. If you're closer to retirement age, then because the transition to organic is an investment, both capital and time, it's something that should not be taken lightly. And you're going to want at least 10 to 15 years worth of farming under your belt to then, or once you make the transition, to reap the benefits. Truly, it takes 5 to 7 years for the soil to transition itself, even though the program says 36 months. With that said, if you're closer to retirement age or not quite as ambitious or aren't able to make that investment, then I would say utilizing cover crops, particularly flowering cover crops that are noticeable, is going to attract attention to yourself. Really, that's the biggest key to getting more land, is attracting attention to yourself. Maybe go on the speaking circuit, talk to grower events, host field days, try to raise awareness of what you're doing on your operation that's different than other people in the area, and start to draw attention to yourself. That's how we've been able to increase our land base.
Got it. So let's go back to, let's assume you've got enough runway in your life that maybe 15 years, 20 years, you have that time to kind of go into organic. If you've been doing conventional, what additional things, what do you need? Extra equipment, infrastructure? Like, what's the recipe for being able to do organic row cropping?
Sure. Transitioning to organic is going to require a few more steps, a few more items, but it's generally things that are inexpensive for the most part. I would highly recommend having on-farm storage, although there are a growing number of elevators that take organic
Mm,
grains in the fall and have drying capabilities. So in that case, you might not need all the bin space, but you'd need an auger wagon and a semi truck or something like that. And then you're going to need to basically have a row crop cultivator and a rotary hoe and maybe a grain drill if you don't already. There's a number of resources I think online. I think the Land Connection has even like an online equipment guide that is a really good starting point. Now, there's
mm,
all kinds of tools, and you can spend as much money as you want on any tool, and have all, sheds and sheds and sheds of
yep.
tractors and combines and tillage equipment. But that's not needed necessarily, and you can get by on a pretty shoestring budget if you're willing to put in some elbow grease.
Yep. And with that transition, so what kind of strategies do you suggest? I mean, very simply, what kind of strategies do you suggest when you're not maybe making as much money during that transition period? How do you kind of get by? Any suggestions there?
Right now we're talking in February of 2025, and there are amazing opportunities for transitioning to organic through the NRCS. There has never been so many funding opportunities, as well as like knowledge resources and programs available. There has never been so much support for transitioning to organic ever. Uh, Nathan, you're probably going to remember the number better than me, but is it 823,
Very good. Yeah.
823, NRCS 823 is a phenomenal program for transitioning to organic. I would highly recommend going in, if this is something you're considering, going into the
Mm,
NRCS office, talking with the agent, trying to figure out the transition to organic program, and
mm.
get the NRCS support to really to make that step.
Is there anything else about being organic that's like, I don't know, kind of intangible? Is like when you talk to farmers who have done the transition, is there anything else about it that they were like surprised by in terms of either something was hard or something was like so much fun or like the farming community is a little bit different? Anything like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be more work than you anticipate. I think that's generally assumed. It
Yep.
is really, really rewarding
Hmm.
because you are there for more hours. It does take more time, but your eyes and boots are on the ground in the tractor seat, and you're there and you see changes. It's amazing how quickly these ecosystem services shift on an organic farm. When we add cover crops, when we add
Hmm.
a longer rotation, we start to see more birds, we start to see more insects, we start to see more flowers, more wildlife. And that shifts very, very quickly. And since you're there, you see it happen faster.
Hmm.
I will say that the organic community is very inviting, very willing to help, very excited to see new faces. So it's a
Hmm.
very open community.
Sounds awesome. And let's go back to the people who might be 55 or older, or maybe they're not energetic in that same way. Like I think you've been saying that maybe going no-till or just getting a little bit innovative, but maybe not going all the way to organic could still be a strategy that might open some doors for them.
Absolutely. And those are really simple things that can be added to an existing crop plan that will, one, make it easier on the farmer, and
Mm,
two, set themselves apart from some of their neighbors, like adding cover crops, like going no-till, like adding wheat with a full season summer cover crop afterwards with a lot of flowers, maybe
mm,
adding some alley cropping or some perennial crops or some trees along different areas.
mm.
Those are all different ways that are attractive, and people take notice of that, and then they're going to talk to you about that. And as long as you can provide a strong, well thought, adequate answer,
Mm.
that uh, that should be a very huge compliment to your operation.
And do you think it's that learning curve is pretty easy or pretty hard or kind of medium? How tough is that transition if you haven't been doing no-till, if you haven't been doing cover crops?
I would recommend working with an advisor. The
Mm,
Rodale team has a number of consultants throughout the Midwest that'd be willing to help work towards transition. If you're not interested in transitioning to organic, different extension advisors are around that would be willing to help. There's a bunch of different organizations that are willing to help. But find an advisor, find someone in the community that can
yep.
connect you with others around you, connect you some more peers. That's going to make it seem less daunting and less weird.
And you had mentioned cover crops before, like in particular flowers that might get people's attention. Do you have any favorite cover crops as far as the flowering herbaceous types that might get attention?
Yeah, but those are all going to be very specific to the cropping system.
Got
So,
it. Okay.
like, I really like buckwheat, and buckwheat can fit in a row crop interseeded operation. But you also have to be, if you're not going to go organic, if you're going to use
Yep.
herbicides, you need to be very specific about the types of herbicides that you can use that allows
Got
for these other cover crops.
Got it. All right. Thank you for saying that. And then can you say something about speaking about the learning community that's out there among regenerative and organic farmers? Can you say something briefly about what the Idea Farm Network is?
Absolutely. The Idea Farm Network is just, it's really cool how simple it is. And it's an email group of regenerative and organic farmers and educators and researchers that share ideas and stories and thoughts and field days through a listserv. And then every once in a while, we get together for a field day or a tour every couple of months. And then generally, we
Mm,
try to convene at the Illinois Organic Grain Conference.
awesome. Let's say one more thing. How many, it seems like you've probably talked to a lot of landowners over the years. Do you have any insight about just finding landowners, working with landowners, working out good arrangements with landowners?
Make it fun. Yeah, like we do have really good relationships with our landowners. We get
Mm.
together on a regular basis. We talk
Ah,
on a near weekly basis or more. We,
wow.
we have cookouts with them. We get together for a beer. We like We have very friendly relationships with all of our landowners, and that makes it a lot of fun.
And so it sounds like for them, it's not just the rent check or the crop share, lease share. It's like the relationship and what's also happening with the land.
Absolutely. And in our situation, all the landowners live on the farm. So they also are they're there,
Mhm.
much more than we are, and they get to see things shift over time.
Got it. All right. So last question. You guys say something about the building that you're in.
So here I am in Silver Tree Spirits, and I can't really see much of it from here. But this is our family farm estate distillery where we make all of our whiskeys and vodka from grains grown on our farm. We're in Paxton, Illinois.
And so you're going to be using your crops to make those distilled spirits.
Have been. Yep.
Or you haven't. Yep. And how good is it? And have you ever drank any of the spirits before lunch?
Oh yeah. It's the best whiskey in Paxton. I can guarantee you that.
So you should say you are in Paxton County, right? You are in
Yeah, we are
Paxton.
in Paxton
Paxton.
province, right? We needed the utilities and
Got it.
all the power and gas and water, sewer, that kind of stuff. And this building is really cool. It's built in the 1870s as a stable for the hotel next door, and then it was
Wow.
a Ford dealership for a while, and most recently it was an in-wall vacuum cleaner warehouse, and now it's a distillery.
That is awesome. Will, thank you so much for taking some time with us and hopefully giving some people some ideas. And again, it sounds like what I like about what you've said is that you're not saying organic is the only way to go. You're not saying, no-till is the only way to go, but you're just saying explore some options about how you grow so that maybe you stand out a little bit from other row crop producers.
Absolutely. And honestly, with the big guys, like they did the exact same thing. They got big and they stand out and they're noticeable.
Mm, absolutely right. All right, Will, thank you so much.
Thanks, Nathan.